Daniel Winton, and thank you for joining us again with for Sphere of Influence People You Need to Know. Our mission is to facilitate meaningful discussions with people who shape industries and communities through engaging interviews and thought provoking content. We strive to provide our audience, you, with actionable insights, expert advice, and valuable connections. Sphere of Influence seeks to be a trusted resource for individuals seeking to expand their knowledge, network, opportunities on their personal and professional journey. And oh, do I have someone special today? What is one of the biggest fears that we all have is speaking and trying to do that right. And another thing is, how do we make sure that we stay healthy in our journey as business owners? So we're going to have someone, Versandra Kennebrew, is going to come up and speak with us today, and you're absolutely going to enjoy it. As a matter of fact, no more talking for me. Let's bring Versandra up. Hello, Versandra.
Hello, good morning, and thank you so much for having me here today on
Oh
Sphere
my.
of Influence. This is going to be a powerful experience here today.
Well, I so appreciate you showing up. We don't often have people that have experience on BET and has won as many awards as you have for public speaking and things of that nature. So that's exactly why I want. As a matter of fact, let me just stop talking. Just spend a couple of minutes telling our viewers who you are, what you do, and some of the essence of the things that you bring.
Okay, thank you again for this opportunity to just speak with your audience for a little bit about, what I've been doing personally, Versandra Kennebrew, and then a little bit about my business, Optimal Living Education and Retreats. But I know that you want me to speak about public speaking because that is a huge part of my life as well. I happen to serve
Oh no,
as
I
a
want you to speak about both.
Okay. Okay, I got you. Well, but
Okay,
since they
yeah,
came
please
up
speak about
first,
both
I got
because
this chronological thing going on in my head. So I'm like, got order.
okay,
I'll start with me. I'm Versandra Kennebrew,
all right,
and I am a healing artist. That's the easy way of describing all that I do. I use my skills, gifts, and talents to support people with becoming the best version of themselves. And that generally requires some healing because we live in a world with all kinds of stuff going on every day.
absolutely.
I'm telling you the truth. If you just turn on the news today, you can easily be depressed in 5 minutes. And so, with that in mind, I started probably about 25 years ago on this journey of personal development for myself, not really understand that I needed help. I just knew
Okay,
that I wanted something more in my life that I was not currently experiencing at that time. And so I found this thing, self-help, personal development. I started reading books and going to seminars and those type of things. I was still working in retail back in those days in management. And I was a district sales manager running 22 stores in 3 states, DC, Maryland,
wow,
Virginia. And so personal development was important for me in order to be able to develop and support them as leaders running their stores. And so
well,
that's kind of how my journey began because when that career ended abruptly after
right.
the company I worked for went out of business, shut everything down, over 3,000 stores. And there I was. I didn't have a plan, but I knew I wanted to become an entrepreneur and do something I had a passion for and that I could do the rest of my life. And so that started me with becoming a massage therapist. And massage therapy led to all of the other healing arts. I became an energy healer. I studied yoga, became a yoga teacher, instructor, meditation, mindfulness. I got really deep into essential oils and plant essences and herbs and nutritional supplements and the whole 9 yards. And I
Well, let
believe
me
that
ask you a question
goes.
on that. Let me ask you a question on that. How did you make this change from being this superstar? I mean, you're doing all these things, and all of a sudden you say, okay, now I'm going to start. I'm just going to just step back, and I'm going to get into yoga. How did that, how did that transition in your mind? And more importantly, how do people around you think about, you're going from all this district manager, this, that, and the other, down to, okay, well, we're going to just sit on a mat for a little while. Tell me about that thought process.
Well, it was really about I was losing my mind and I was sick in that other industry. When you do that hustle for years and years and years, you're working 12, 14, 16 hours, living in the grind, you can lose yourself for one, and you definitely can become depleted and you forget who you are. I lost myself totally. I mean, just this whole corporate world, climbing the corporate ladder, looking for that next promotion. Okay, you get the company car, you get the expense account. Now what next? Which boardroom
Right,
do you want to get in? And as an African American woman, it is very hard out there, especially back in those days. This I'm talking about in like 2000 is when I left retail. But when
okay,
I shifted, I had become sick. I was, I
wow,
had not been sick in my life, but I had fibroids. I had all kinds of stuff. Ladies that are watching, I'm sure you understand. I really don't have to say anything to the women that are
right,
go-getters out there, because either they've experienced it or they know a super woman out there that has gone through something similar. And so what happens is during that time, you generally make a choice. Either you're going to continue to do this because that's what you don't know anything
right,
else, and so you just wear yourself out till you can't do it anymore, or you become dark, bitter, you hate people, you just, it changes you. Or
right,
you
right,
choose to go inside. And for me, I've always been a seeker of truth, a seeker of light, all those things, a seeker of God. And so
right.
in that introspection and wondering, what is my true purpose in this world? What am I to do? And during that downtime, being in the bed, recovering, I got a revelation of what I was to bring to humanity. And so
Okay.
that's when the shift occurs. It wasn't just a career shift, it was a whole mentality. And that shift, at talking about changing and talking about losing friends, family, all kinds of things. I mean, even my church did not understand when I'm
Right. I
talking
just
about massage therapy and healing and this and that. And, but
right.
I had to follow my truth.
Thank you for sharing that because
Yeah.
that is, we are always, you go on the internet and you'll see you've got to go for it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not 100%, it's 300%.
Yes.
And people are working themselves into an early grave because they don't listen to their body, they're not listening to themselves, and they're so
Absolutely.
worried about what their friends and family are going to say about what they're doing. But there is a such thing as quality of life. We only have a certain amount of heartbeats on this planet. And how do you want to spend that is very, very important. So, what I'd like to do is I want to hear about your business, the optimal living. I want to spotlight you for a few minutes so you can kind of tell people about how to get a hold of you, about the company, and different things of that nature.
Yes, yes. I would like to say that when I made the shift from the chaotic career that I was living, and it was really a lifestyle that I was living, is because you can live a busy or a professional lifestyle. You can live one and live it more balanced and have a more fulfilling life when you have certain tools and resources at your disposal. So today, in today's world, we all have at our fingertips the opportunity to reach out to health coaches. You can reach them virtually, you can reach them and have live meetings in their offices. These days, health coaches are meeting with clients, at coffee shops. And I even meet with some of my clients on the river walk. We get a blanket and lay it out on the grass and sit down and have our session. It might include a little massage, little meditation, and even yoga. So in today's world, optimal living is accessible to each person, no matter what career path they've chosen. And so this is what I did after I made the personal shift and decided I wanted more in my life. I wanted it to be more fulfilling. I wanted to, yes, have an amazing career and be a professional woman, but I also wanted to live life to the fullest. I wanted to travel. I wanted to be able to go out and hike and swim in the ocean and those type of things. I wanted real vacations, all of those things that I desired to have, but I didn't think were possible. And then I created a career path around that. So Optimal Living Education and Retreats was born during the pandemic. Even then, I had to make another pivot. I had to shift from being a one-on-one practitioner, just working with individuals, to working with groups, organizations. I'm a government contractor now. I'm serving the biggest supplier or the biggest employer and purchaser of products and services in the world, the United States government. And so all of those shifts occur when you're able to sit in silence, be in stillness. When things seem chaotic all around you, you can sit down and write a plan. They say, write the vision and make it plain. Yeah, we need time to do that. So Optimal Living Education and Retreats does all of that for individuals. We help people who are looking to enhance their lives, corporations, organizations. We do team building, trainings, workshops, retreats. I've recently worked with Toastmasters International. I mentioned that that's one of the things I do in a volunteer basis. It seems like it's another full-time job, but I serve as the program quality director for District 14 Toastmasters in Georgia.
Okay.
We take up half of the state of Georgia. It's 230 clubs, over 2,400 members. And so I and my team provides the training and development, the conference, the district executive committee training, all of that all year long. And then next year, I will have the pleasure of being the district director for a full year. So wow. I'm saying that to say I get to mix the skills and talents and everything from my business. I bring them into my Toastmasters experience, and vice versa. From my Toastmasters experience, I meet people from around the world that I get to do business with. My mentor this year is in South Africa. I met him in the Bahamas at a Toastmasters conference. And so I have created a lifestyle business.
Hold on, Versandra.
Yes.
You're taking all my questions away. First of all, I want them to know how to get a hold of you. Tell them, how do I get a hold of Versandra?
Get a hold of me by visiting optimallivingretreats.com. optimallivingretreats.com.
Excellent. All right. Now, so being in the health industry, that led you to government contracting, which then, now, okay, we can probably see where that may join, but how did that get you into public speaking? How did those two things, or actually three things, connect themselves?
I am so glad that you asked. And I have the funniest way to bridge this, and I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. But let me tell you.
We got time. We got time.
Let me just tell you.
I told you, we don't have a whole lot of people from BET stopping by, so please take some time.
Okay, listen. I'm gonna say this, and I'm not trying to be funny, but I laugh sometimes because sometimes it helps you from crying or going to a deep place. But listen,
Okay.
being a Black little girl born in a mental institution just outside of Detroit, Michigan in the early 1960s.
Wow.
I want to give you that picture first
Okay.
and then
Okay.
bring you up through my career and help you to see the challenges that I faced getting to
Okay.
that. Having mental illness in my life daily,
Okay.
having, you know, trauma. I mean, police, knives, guns, a lot of stuff in my life daily, and pushing through that in order to be successful, no matter what, beyond whatever obstacles I had to
Wow.
face, I pushed through. So, not to, have a sad story that I want anybody to feel sad for me or anything, because so many of us, I've learned this through my homeless advocacy, because on this journey, I became homeless and everything. So it
Wow.
was no fairy tale story here. This is
Right.
real. But the reason why public speaking came about is because I did learn that I had a story to tell. After
Okay.
overcoming homelessness, one of my clients, one of my massage therapy clients, in fact, was a literary professor. And she told me if I didn't tell my story of being an entrepreneur, overcoming homelessness, being homeless while being an entrepreneur for a
Right.
year, and being able to manage that and still learn how to thrive with all kinds of crazy things happening around me. But I wrote that book because she said if I didn't, I would be doing a disservice to humanity.
What's the name of the book?
Thank God for the Shelter, Memoirs of a Homeless Healer. It's on
Okay.
Amazon.com. Yeah, and I
Okay.
wrote that about 15, 20 years ago, and there's a second edition, so it's been updated. But the point that I'm making is that I did not have the best education. I only had, high school graduation.
Right.
I did go back to get an associate's degree, like maybe 15, 20 years after I was supposed to be out of
Hey.
college. And
Okay.
I did go back and study mental health because I wanted to understand how people got to these various places. How do you become homeless? It's not
Right.
just about not having a home, and there's so much involved. So social justice became a big thing for me. And so to
Okay.
share those type of stories, to be able
Wow.
to advocate for the less fortunate, I had to learn how to manage my own voice because, like I said, I wasn't very educated. So you can be educated alternatively these days. No
Right.
one has that ability to use that as an excuse anymore. If you
Right.
just want to watch YouTube videos and practice, you can learn things and you can become educated. I chose public speaking, leadership, and communication through Toastmasters because that is something that every individual needs as long as they live. I'm a lifelong
Right.
learner. I plan on being
Okay.
here until I'm 100. So if I plan on doing that and I want to be living well, I want to be able to be in my right mind. I want to be able to take care of myself and be
Right.
independent and those type of things. Well, what does that require of me? So I began studying those things and how do I share that with other people? I feel like I'm a natural born teacher of some type because I feel like that's a part of what I bring to every situation. I
Okay.
found that, as I was speaking about my book, Thank God for the Shelter, I was doing a national tour. I was visiting
Right.
shelters, transitional homes around the country. And I ran into a young lady and she says, I'm sure your book is very good and all. You seem like a very cool person and you seem like you haven't been through any of the things you talked about.
Okay.
But what am I supposed to do with it? I can't read.
Hmm.
This is a grown woman living in a shelter with 3, 4 children. And that she was bold enough, courageous enough to say that to me and to help me to understand the real depthness of the challenges that we face when we're talking about overcoming poverty. You know, poverty alleviation is big in my world and in what,
Right.
you know, my whole life. So how do you deal that? You first got to go to the mind and deal with the poverty of the mind, the thinking, spiritual poverty.
Okay.
Then you go into helping people to, once they open their eyes and they can see infinite possibilities. Once you get to that point, then the sky now is not the limit. But
Right.
until that point happens, things like having a coach, things like attending workshops and experiences, retreats. I love doing women's circles and women's events, empowerment,
Wow.
where you just bring women together and they're sharing stories and information. Coming up very soon. You probably have this as a question too. Maybe I should hold this back and
Well,
share.
let me break in here for 1 second because um, when you're listening to interviews and you sometimes you just wish that the interviewer would just be quiet and let the person talk. And this is one of those stories, and I so appreciate the rawness of this story because I'm learning things that even today that I didn't even know. So how let me just see if I can put the words together. We're all, we put these suits on every day, or we put our best face on. And again, the way we're told is that you got to drive, you got to drive, you got to drive, you got to push, you got to push, you got to do all these things
Mhm.
to be successful, and then
Right.
you fall down.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit, because we only have like 4 or 5 minutes, but how do you make that journey from the dark into the light? How did you just not give up?
Yeah. Yeah. That's really why the book is entitled "Thank God for the Shelter," is because it was, and then the shelter is really not even about the time of being homelessness. The shelter is the shelter of peace, a
Right.
shelter of quiet and tranquility, a place where you can be safe and secure and covered. So
Okay.
that's really what the book is about. And when I consider that, that is what allowed me that I just happened to be in a transitional home for women when I discovered that safety, that shelter. But the shelter was not a building. That
Okay.
shelter was the Spirit of God, just
Mm.
totally covering me and giving me this place to sit down. And I started journaling in the
Okay.
shelter. I began writing about the things that I was feeling, how terrible I felt, and how I had, just really failed myself,
Mm.
not anybody else, myself. I had such high hopes for myself at a certain age and period and time in my life. Most of us do. So I began to use that safe space and hear out, I want to share this real quick because it's kind of short and sweet, but this is one of the things that came to me because I was asking who I am. And the Spirit of God said, I am the quintessence of the divine, most perfect of all creation, with power to produce at will seeds that multiply like ripples in an ocean. The personification of I am, beautiful, radiant, absolute, and undeniable. I am love.
Wow.
That's what I learned about myself in that dark space.
Wow.
If love is the essence of who I am, love is the essence of who you are, Daniel. Love is the essence of each person that is watching or listening. Love is our essence. And when we tap into that love, then we understand it's not about what we look like. It's not about the suits we put on. It's about how are you touching humanity engaging with humanity in a way that's uplifting, empowering, all those things that are good. That's when the world becomes an amazing place to live and love. That's when you start seeing things change. That's when wars end. That's where when people begin to communicate more effectively with one
Right.
another in their households, on the job, those type of things. So it does require us to have time inside. Yoga brings me inside. It takes me into that sacred space of now. It takes me into this space where I can hear the Spirit of God clearly. I can get my directions and understand which path I'm supposed to take, who's supposed to go with me, which direction, which vehicle are we supposed to take. And as
Right.
business owners, entrepreneurs, people making a difference in the world, we have got to come out of this superficial, out here putting on a show type of thing, and go back inside to that sacred space of shelter and really hear what we're supposed to be doing so that we can turn things around from what we see on the news into this place of paradise, because it begins right here in our minds. And I don't want to
Right.
be preaching today, but that's really what it's all about. And that's what has helped me to pivot over and over again, reinvent myself over and over again, and learn how to make my business something that could serve humanity and make the world a better place.
Well, let me ask you a question, Versandra. Will you come back? Because,
Absolutely, I will.
okay, because I need to ask you so much more, and I'm
Yeah,
sure that our viewers want to hear so much more. But in
yeah.
1 minute, because we only have a few minutes left, in 1 minute, can you just give us a little goodbye and just leave us with something? Because I do want you to come back.
Yes, yes. I would like to leave you with this wonderful experience to join me and others from hopefully all around the country who are wanting to tap into the art of touch. When you go to optimallivingretreats.com, you will see an upcoming event that begins on November 4th and it goes through January. Every Sunday at 5 p.m., you'll be able to join me on a platform similar to this here, and we will be experiencing the art of touch. I will teach you what I have learned over all of these years as a healing artist, how to use it to enhance your own life and to communicate and become more intimate with your partner. And there's so much to this, so I hope that you will join me. Optimallivingretreats.com is how you get started.
Wow. Wow. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. I am so thankful that you came today, and I'm so thankful that you've agreed to come back. But
Yes.
so let everyone, we're going to say goodbye to Versandra. Well, not
Thank
goodbye,
you.
but just au revoir now, and we will see you later. Okay. Oh my goodness. No excuses. No excuses. I didn't even know all of that. And if you would see the phenomenal works that she is doing, then that story even become I'm shaking right now. I'm literally shaking here. So please like, subscribe, tell your friends about the broadcast. Again, spheres of influence, people that you need to know. I think we just proved that today. If you couldn't get inspired by that, I don't know. I don't even know what to tell you. But please come back. But that's all we have for you today. Bye for now.